Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to talk about the Profit Retriever. We're going to talk about the Profit Retriever beta testing of the EA robot from Expert Forex. And if you haven't heard about this robot before, I can tell you this is one of the most profitable and stable EAs that we have tested in the last 4 or 5 years that we have been in the Forex market trying to find an automated robot to help us out. Now, we have been testing this one already for more than a year, and we were part of the beta testing when we actually got it launched from Expert Forex. Since then, we have definitely been testing this and trying it out, and any EA, any robot is not without its faults, because obviously there is always pros and cons to any robot you want to trade. Profit Retriever is normally very good at basically making profit. The unfortunate part is it normally needs a lot of money, but you can overcome some of those issues here and also require mostly to be traded in a portfolio. You can find a lot more information on that on our website itself, where we explain all the nitty-gritty and details. So for this particular EA, this video here only focuses on the beta testing to have a look at, see what we had before, what we could be getting, and if we are making more money, if we're having lower drawdowns, or what exactly is happening. Now, we have taken 3 different currency pairs that we have tested extensively. So in the past and going forward, they are still on live trading accounts. You can even find them on the copy link service with Expert Forex. And we are trying then to beta test the changes within it and basically show you the outcome here today. Plus, we're also going to go into a couple of basically breakdowns on what we have found and what could be the next introductions or other beta tests in the future if Alex and Expert Forex would allow for the testing to go by. This is only our experience with the beta tester. Obviously, people have different ways of also using the EAs many times. So let's have a look at it. But first, we're just going to have a look back to see exactly how the Profit Retriever works and where the basic settings come from. So the settings we're going to talk about here today is basically an extension to what you already have. You can see on one side of the screen, you have all the different settings with MA periods. You have the shifts in here, you have the price caps and all these different things. They are pretty much the same all the way through. Also closure amounts, time window, time frames, things like this. The part that we are interested in here today is basically the approach of the lot change itself. And we already had the first part up here, which is called phase 1 and 2. And basically, it's a simple way of either increasing lot size as you go along or decreasing lot size. On the phase 1 here, you can see we are only using the decrease one. So the testing itself, we normally use 40% with the increments of 5 up to 95 here. And then from there on, we have a second option in phase 2, where we have then been able to go higher again in lot size. So for example, from 100 in increments of 10 up to 300 instead here. So you have an opportunity to either go low and then high, or high and low. But now the alternate way of doing this is the one that I've highlighted here in yellow. So this will be an alternate strategy, and I'll show you on a graph exactly what is the difference in a second. I will just show you our test settings, and the test settings that we have used here is alternate A, which is the first one that comes into play. We have tested everything from 40% up to 200 with increments of 5, as you can see here. And then the alternate B, again, we're also using that one, 40% increments of 5 up to 200. So the first part we're going to have a look at here, because the basic setup and systems for the Profit Receiver itself basically comes from the Martingale strategy, and I have made a videos on that in the past, so I'm not going to go into too much details of it, but it actually comes from the roulette table, where you are doubling up every single time you are losing in order to get your gains back, plus just a little profit. And this is a previous chart that we also used to explain this position before. And this is the Martingale, where you go up every single time, so basically doubling, and that is red. And it says here by 1 lot, by 2 lots, 4 lots, 8 and 16. Basically, this is set up as a grid level position, and the first time the trade goes against you, you start off with the 0.1 lot, and as it moves down the grid ladder, you will then double to 0.2, to 0.4, to 0.8, and 0.1, 0.6. Now, the good part about this system in here is obviously that it doesn't take much of a retracement before you are actually getting out of the trades, because they are bottom heavy, as you can see here. So the last ones that you are setting in, if that makes a small retracement, you will end up with a profit, and you can close all of the open items in red here in one go. And you can actually do that most probably all the way down where you see the red marker we have put up here. Now, the normal way that we have been trading, so the profit retriever so far, and has been the most, let's say, drawdown way of keeping the risk very, very low. We have started off with 0.2 lots, which is the standard one that we normally try and test on. And in this particular case, we have used a reduction factor of 90%, which means that the next time the robot will set a lot size in the grid will be 0.18, and then it will go down to 16, 14, and 12. Now that reduces the risk. Obviously, there's more trades, but as the lot size gets smaller, it's basically not running away, similar to what you just saw here before. But it also means that it takes a lot more movement, a lot more retracements to go back before you can actually get all of them in a small positive and close it out. And that's what we have highlighted here in the blue section. So those are the two different strategies that you have been able to play out so far with the profit retriever. Now, the beta testing in here has this alternate strategy, and the alternate strategy, again, we are starting off with 0.2 lots. The alternate strategy that we have chosen here is the first A1 you saw before is 55%. Just as an example, and the alternate B section is 170%. And what that means is you again start with the 0.2 in lot size, and from there on you then go over to the alternate A. So 55% of 0.2 is now 0.11, and after that, if the price continues to go against you, you now go to alternate B, and that is 170% of 0.11, and that is now 0.18. And if it continues to go down, you will now go back to the alternate A. So again, 55% of 0.18 is now 0.1, and it continues like that, goes over to B, and then it increases again. Now, what that does here is that basically you are slowly but surely declining, at least with these settings that we have shown you here. But the retracement doesn't have to be as big as what you saw before. And we pretty much looks to be somewhere in the middle, where down here is where the normal Martingale strategy would be, where you only need 1 or 2 of the biggest lot sizes to go slightly positive. And then everything else will basically close in a small positive trade. But where you have the previous blue one, that is the decreasing strategy here, will come in a lot later. So most probably the new alternate strategy ends up somewhere in the middle. So if we have a look at the testing graph itself, we have done the previous one that we have, and is, as I mentioned already, on the live section. And then we have done another test with the new alternate A and B. You see the graph here, and this is the old style graph that we have up here. It made about 21,000. So basically what you see here, 11,000 plus the 10 on the previous account. And below you have the new alternate strategy. Again, you can see there's similar bumps at the same places, but they are ironed out a bit more. And you can also see that the profit is slightly higher compared to the other one. And if we go and have a look at the numbers itself, you'll see that it has a net profit of 11,600 versus 15,000 in here. And then you can also again see the maximum drawdown is 3,600, and here it's 4,200. So this one looks really, really good. And on top of that, you can also see the total trades in here, 600, and here you have more than 700. So again, it's spending less time in drawdown compared to the normal strategy we have seen so far. If we go to the results itself, you might have seen how I set some of the settings up here before. Once we have done the initial testing on the MT4 platform here, we are copying everything over to this Excel. And that particular line here, what we're interested in a certain percentage, and that is the drawdown that you have here in column G versus the profit that we are having coming in. And that gives the percentage, the lower percentage, the better effectivity, drawdown versus profit, basically. That's what we're looking for. And that's the first part that we are basically setting up and sorting on. On top of this, we also have a range of different settings that we think can be useful. We obviously want to have a look at the system, and we have picked the 3 you have in red here, and we have also marked up a range of the items where we have an alternate strategy. And you can see the first ones that we have here is actually a decreasing strategy for the first part, so the alternate A. And then after that, you can see they are going higher, similar to what we had in the graph I showed you before. So just the example. And from there, all the ones marked in blue, that one should also be marked in blue, I see here. Those are strategies with 100 and more, going up first and then later going down, or you can see in some cases it is actually going up. In both cases, 105, 145, that is an increasing strategy. But as you can see, profit is also a bit higher, but so is the drawdown, and that's what we basically want to avoid as much as possible. So the calculation itself, and I do apologize for the numbers being a bit smaller than normal, but I want you to see on the screen here both before and after. And if we have a look at it, you can see the test dates. So that means again that the settings that we got out when we tested on 1st of August, we are used to not just taking those numbers because they're very easy to always find good numbers, but we are trying to find good stable numbers so that we can use over time, that doesn't crash no matter when we put them in. And these are very good examples. So this is the old style that we have in here. And the ones we currently are running is this particular one. So you can see all the settings that we have here. And you can see how stable it is, starting off with 1414. And obviously the less months you have to test, the lower it comes. And in this particular case, it's also very stable on the drawdown. It doesn't matter when you actually put it on, it will have the same drawdown all the way through. So what you want is normally either the same or you want it to decrease over time. That is definitely what we prefer. Now on the other side, you obviously have the same. We also tested the beta version on the 1st of August. And then we find the details that you can see over here. And we took 3 different ones. And the one we have in green is the ones you have to basically compare. So compare this one we have here together with the one we have over here. So the first thing we see is that 14,000 here, and we're actually getting 17,000. Also here, 17,000, so about 3,000 more. We can see that it constantly is cashing in slightly higher. And even here in October, you can see only down to 6,800. And more than 10,000 on the other one. When we look at the drawdown at the end of the day here, the drawdown is pretty much the same all the way through, which is a bit unusual. But anyway, we have the same on that particular one, and then it's actually going even lower. So that is good positive results, and definitely a very good improvement for the British pounds USD. Seems to work well for this one. Now, if we go to the next one, the Euro Japanese, again, the first graph is on top as we have up here. You can see a few more bumps all the way through. And at the bottom here, you can also see every tick. So this is now the alternate version. This is now the beta version you have itself. And again, we have the results in here. And if we scroll down, you can see the difference, 10,000 it has. And total net profit is 11 on the alternate strategy. We have the manual drawdown here of just more than 3,000. And here we have manual drawdown of 2,700. So again, it is a slightly improvement. And then you can see the total trades here is, well, pretty much almost the same at the end of the day. So there's not much difference. So, and that is part of the results that we are finding. There is small discrepancies all the way through. The same we have done here again. We're having a look at the individual results. And again, the highlighted ones here in red is the ones that we are running, we're testing. And you can see that one of the ones that comes up, it's the first one, 18.93%, has a drawdown of only 2,600. And you can see the profit is 14,000. And that is actually increasing and then decreasing, where here in the second one, you have a decreasing. And the third one you have here is 100. So you are staying at the same lot size and then decreasing again. And that is also most probably why you see a lower drawdown at the end of the day. As soon as you go to one of these here, 155.40, you can see that it's going up 3,380. So slightly higher than some of the other ones that you have before it. Now, EURJPY, again, it's the same setup. We are testing pretty much in the same range on the same dates. We have our old file, and this is the file that we are currently having. So in here, the other ones are basically also tests where we have made small changes in this particular case to the gap size, as you can see. And on this side here, again, we're testing on the 8th. So that is the section we have. And we have basically compared up against the two ones here. The only thing that we have is we are testing 55 and 155 here. Yeah. So again, the profit from one to the other one seems to be very similar all the way through. We have a bit more profit here on the 1st and the 7th. And again, on some of the next couple of months here, so in August and September. And then we have a look at the drawdown down here. And you can actually see the drawdown is increased on some of the months compared to what you have on the regular strategy. But then later on, you can see it is actually lower. So there is a bit of a difference from time to time in between how they are tested and also how the individual currency pairs are actually acting up. If you have a look at the AUSUSD, again, the graph looks pretty nice on both of them in here, as you can see. So pretty straight line. There's not too many big bumps on the road. You have a few here, again, on the normal strategy, where down here you can see they are ironed a bit more out. It is obviously a bit difficult to see on some of it. But if we have a look at the numbers itself, you can see here 18,000. Here we have 19, so slightly higher. We have a drawdown of more than 4,000 here, and here it's below 3. And again, you have a look at the total trades, and you can see there's 2,500 here and 2,800. So again, there is more trades. There is less time spent in drawdown, which is basically what we're looking for. Going for the Aussie USD results, again, same percentage you have in here. You can see a very low percentage of 12%. That's exactly what you want. So all the way up to more than 20,000. So from 1st of August and then basically into beginning of April, and only a drawdown of 2,740. Again, this is a decreasing strategy only, so 85 and 95. And we have a second strategy we're testing also, which is again 90 and 90. So again, decreasing strategy. And then we have an increased strategy, 130, and then decreasing strategy after here. You can see again in the blue, you have a mix in between the white, which is decreasing and increasing versus the increasing and decreasing sections here. So there is a bit of a mix, but most of the time it seems like the blue one is slightly higher in drawdowns. You do have a few of fairly nice ones here within 3,000 also, which is definitely okay. Also here, again, we're testing same areas. So from 1st of April, and this is the old numbers that you saw. So 18,000 and 4,000 here in drawdown. And over here on the alternate strategy, 19,000. And here it's below 3,000. So, oops, this one here, sorry. Same numbers, but that is pretty much the same. And if we have a look, you can see that it is good and stable, and the drawdown is actually going down. Drawdown was quite high on this particular one at that time, but since then you can see it's okay and it's decreasing. And if we have a look over here, we can see that this one actually crashed at that particular time. And you have issues on some of the other settings that we also tried out. So it crashed out here. It also crashed here, and it crashed here. So very difficult in this particular case for the alternate strategy to be okay. But if we move it around the 1st of May, we will actually see that it comes out okay. So that is just that we are starting it at the wrong point in the wrong direction. So again, if you have a look, 22,000 up against 20 here, and then you have a higher drawdown than you have on the original one. So again, it is a bit up and down. So with the testing we have itself, you can see July 18,000. Here we have 20, and down here we have again a high drawdown compared to it. But then on the later markets where we have a bit of a shift, we can see that still higher, 18,000 compared to 17 here. And then now the drawdown is 3.7 or 3.4, sorry, on the old strategy, and the alternate strategy is now improved. It's down to 2.8, so in the drawdown. And again here, higher profits. And in this particular case, again, the drawdown shift is around. And obviously this is not such a clear signal in between. So you can actually see we had 3 different ways of looking at the currency pairs, ups and downs on all of them. So what did we find out of these 3 examples that we have basically extensive tests? As you can see, it is easy enough to just do it on one time frame. So basically 1st of August until April, and you will get some decent results, but you also have to basically put them in at different times, and there is where you're going to see how strong they are, if they can hold up to it. Can they keep the drawdown in check? Can it be a bit less than what you have seen on the standard testing here? So the beta testing shows us that it does work on some currency pairs. It depends on the fluctuation and the markets at the given time. We have some which is better at some times and worse at other ones. And then you can see some where you have a heavy increase in drawdown also. So this is definitely something that needs a bit further investigation and is not as clear cut as I have seen some people come back and saying this is the greatest thing since Swiss cheese here. When we are testing the way we do, it is very time consuming, yes, but it provides us a lot better insight as exactly if this is a pro or is it a con. Now, part of this is also we wanted to find some solutions, and I know that Alex has gotten plenty of suggestions in the past of what could and should and would be done in here. We have done a recent video also where we are trying basically to hedge the profit retriever, and we have shown you in this video, which has come out just a few days ago, how exactly to do this, how to try and limit it. But this is a manual trading, and that manual trading doesn't really carry over either to the copy link service. So it will be great to find some way, shape and form where you can basically implement some of these details into the profit retriever itself, so it can be automated in some way, shape and form. So just to have the definition of the hedging in here. Hedging is a risk management strategy used to minimize or offset potential losses by taking an opposite position to an existing investment or trade. And that's what we are trying to explain in here. Obviously, you can use different types of stock indexes, metals, forex, so on and so on. And in that video, we explained the various ways that you can do this. Now, one of the things that I just want to show you here, as part of this video here also is that we have a couple of suggestions that we would put forward also into the premium forum, and obviously members can then also have a look at it, see what they think, or come up with other solutions that might be even better than the ones we have found. Now, we believe that there's a couple of ways forward for this particular one. One is the auto hedging, basically, that I mentioned here before, where you go in and have a look at the number of entries or the equity. So if it gets to a certain level where your equity has gone down to 40 or 50% of what it initially was, it will start similar in the grid size here, but it will now start in the opposite direction instead to try and recover part of it. That could be one way of doing this. And another way, which becomes quite interesting when you see what other people are trying to do with it, it is sort of a day trading version or an FTMO version for the profit retriever. We have seen quite a few people trying to pass the FTMO challenges. So with the profit retriever, which is a bit funny because it's probably the worst robot of all with this heavy drawdown. So how they came about for that particular idea, I'm not quite sure, but some of it actually does make sense, and I'll try and explain it to you. So where and I will also show you an example that we have in here, but it basically means that you close all trades based on the number of entries, meaning that if you enter 5 or 6 trades and it continued to go against you, you basically close it off, you take the loss. So, and then from there on, you reverse the trade itself. So if it was going against you before, it now should go with you. Now for this example, we are just using the US 30 index, and this is the one that has been doing extremely well. You can see it goes all the way back here. So from 17th of February all the way over here to 18th of April. You can see it's cashing in. So if it goes against it, it's about 20, 25. Here's 250, 260, again 250, 258, 18 you have in here, and you have quite a few again 250. Here we have 19 and 258, 27, and as you'll see, there's plenty of cashing in here. 257, 256, 25, 38, 178. And you can see quite a few again here, 257, 256. And then you have this particular drop in price, and then right after it's going up, the profit retriever basically catches the wrong trend as it goes here, and then it just goes up. And since 24th of March until 18th of April, it has then been at a drawdown where sitting and you're basically making no money whatsoever. One of the ways that what we were talking about just before here about the trend trader, about sort of kind of a day trader, or where you limit at least the amount of trades that it enters. The whole idea here is to, similar to this, where this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entries in it. And you go in and saying either we go in by 6 entry or 7 entry, and basically we take the loss, we cut it off here, and then we send the robot in the other direction of what it initially was, and then it will cash in all the way up through the graph here. And that means that yes, you lost a bit of money basically on that particular trade, but you are pretty much straight back into it again. And for that, I'll show you the next picture here, where we are expanding a bit on it. So again, you see the same trades as we had here before. You can see the different grid levels that you had in here. So, so this is the sell points that you had. And if you had cut it off somewhere around here, you take your loss and then reverse it into buy instead. You would have written up all the way through this particular graph. And what happens many times after the trend is over, it's going to trade sideways again for a long period of time. And if you compare the 3 lines that we have up here also, you can see that this particular period of the 3 weeks that we mentioned here before, Let's see, no, we have a bit more. This is up to 20, this is up by end of April here. We can basically have a full month of trading. So we are taking a loss of maybe it could be $2,000 or $3,000 here, but at the same time, you would by now have made this one up again. So basically you are now in zero and you are still not waiting for it to come out of the drawdown. I think that could be an interesting way where you either cut it off by equity, so or you simply cut it off by the amount of trades. So if you enter trade number 6 or 7, then basically the robot cashes out, takes the loss, and then reverses the direction so it can cash in on what looks to be a trend. Now, 1 week of beta testing is obviously not a lot of time to try and both backtest and forward test everything in here. So that's why we have basically been just focused on trying to compare what we already have, decent, stable results that has been both backtested and tested in the manner, as you can see there, over a 6 period of time, where we are adding them into different type of months to see if they are still doing fairly well, both profitable wise and drawdown wise. And we know also that they are cashing in pretty well on the live demo accounts and even on the copy link service. And on top of this, we then compare what we have from the alternate strategies in here, so we can actually compare apples to apples, which we have done in this particular case. The results is a bit mixed, but again, we will also see, hopefully Alex will be interested in some of the details that are in this video here also, our suggestions. I know a lot of other traders has also come up with suggestions for the profit retriever before. I'm definitely happy to try and test this out together with both the traders, Expert Forex and Alex in here. But I know he doesn't want to make too many big changes to it because it becomes maybe a completely different EA. But so be it. I think that the profit retriever has exceptional potential. The only thing that we have to find a solution for here is trying to manage the drawdown. And I know that Alex in the past has mentioned that the best way to basically manage drawdown is opening up the price gaps, is to decrease the lot size. But again, for me, it's not that simple. When I run these on the Excels, I can see that sometimes even increased lot sizing will actually create larger drawdowns. It will create less profit over time. And if you get it right, it's again a bit like the Goldilocks zone for our planets and the sun here. You have to get the right distance from it so that when the waves are coming, when the different markets are flushing through the Forex currencies here, you are on the right wavelength where you are cashing in as the price goes both up and down. So it is a bit of a balancing act. How low can you go, or how high should you go here also? But the alternate strategy seems to be at least on the right direction of what it is we want. It might not work on all currency pairs, and that is quite normal. You cannot use the same strategy for every single currency pair that you have in there. Our settings are certainly extremely different from pair to pair, and even from time to time. We change them many times over the year. So just having this short little week to try and test everything out is obviously not enough. But it has given us a bit of an indication when we are looking back at some of our results to see that we could probably find a way of trying to get this profit retriever to work in the FTMO market. It will require some changes either by hedging or simply closing trades off. That will be great to see, and I'll be happy also to help Expert Forex and the rest of the Premium Forum try and develop something like this if Alex agrees to it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. So this is my 2 cents of what I found with the beta testing, so for the alternate strategy. So I hope to see you on one of my next videos where we will have a lot more information on the profit retriever and other EAs that I test. Bye-bye.